Hello, this is a tutorial. I'd like to talk about how to transfer the animations into Unreal through Mixamo, which is a program free. You can find a lot of animations. You can download the animation. When you download, you can choose actually I need to go to animation first. Right. You can find the animation. Then you can click. It's a little bit slow now. Download, and then you can download through with skin or without skin. Okay, so the tutorial today is more cover how you can transfer this animation into an Unreal character. So they will be able to apply all the libraries available in the Mixamo into Unreal. So that's a really huge collection here. All right, so what I did is before I start this whole new process, I just want to point out there are two other old tutorials I highly recommend you to watch. The first tutorial is animation retargeting 10.1. So if you click, you can see here the tutorial I covered how you can use Unreal character. Then you can apply the retargeting using the default mannequin animation to control it. So here's a chart to show the process. If you bring a character, this character called city character, is low poly, you can use a mannequin animation applied to it using the retargeting. Okay, so this is covered in this tutorial. And I have another tutorial. This is called character animation Unreal Mixamo. And this is a process I exported this Polycity character into Mixamo. I did animation there, then I bring that in, bring it back into Unreal. So that's covered in this tutorial. And I highly recommend you watch this one as well. It covered a lot of tricks. Okay, so this is the two existing tutorial I would encourage you to watch. But here's something I like to point. Some of the issues relate to the second method, this one, transfer a model directly into Unreal without using retargeting. The issue is, actually highlighted here, if you transfer this through Mixamo, the rig is the definition of a skeleton mesh plus bones. It's not exactly identical to the default Mixamo rig. So when you do the animation mapping, later when you bring into Unreal, there might be some missing bones, some errors in the animation. So here I will show you the example. In the folder, this is the earlier version we did, quite a lot of animations. Most of them looks pretty nice. You have the animation. This is using the method to transfer in and transfer out from Mixamo. But if you really pay attention to the foot, right, you can see sometimes the foot is kind of floating. It's doing this weird movement. This is due to the missing matching of the animation to the bone. As you can see, this city character, or we call the city rig, has a little bit different hierarchy from the Mixamo character. So if I open the Mixamo character, I just download it. So let's do that. So I will download one. Actually, I downloaded 3 of them already. I will just save some time. We don't need to re-download. I will show you. Right. So this is 3 downloads I did with a breathing idol. This is one with the skin. The other 2, talking. I don't have the skin, and talking too, and also the. I think there's another one, is the sitting and talking do not have a skin. Okay, so when you download, you do have this option to choose not download the skin, so it's just the animation. All right, the file is smaller, slightly smaller. So I have these 3 Mixamo animation file. Also, I made a duplication of this breathing idle, and I renamed this to Mixamo rig. This is actually optional. You don't really have to do this. And for the sake of clarify, this one is the T-pose rig. So basically, let me just do it from scratch. I just duplicated this guy, copy, and paste, right? And then I rename it to rig. The reason is it's always good you have the default. So in the future, if you want to redrag into Unreal, you will know that's something you can always reference to. So here, let me show you in character asset. I will probably just go ahead and create a new folder. I will give this folder called Mixamo. Okay, so it's right here. All right, then I'm going to drag the rig into. Right. So when you input, you do have the option to choose check the skeleton mesh, check the import mesh. I don't really want to attach to existing skeleton, so don't choose anything. I don't need animation for now because I just want to see the T-pose. Right. So here, import all. It starts to transfer the file in, which should include the material as well. Here we go. You have the materials, you have this rig, you have the physics, you have the skeleton. All right, so let's save everything. So this is the rig skeleton. If I double click, you can see the Mixamo rig start with the hips, span 1, span 2. Right, so that's a little bit different from the city. So let me open the city. We can compare these two. The city characters, I believe we are using polycity, right? We'll just drag it here. And this is the skeleton associated with the polycity. Right, you can see it start with the root, pelvis, span 0, 2, 3. Right, so let's make it floating. You can compare these two. Right, so this is quite different. That's the reason when you transfer this into Mixamo and come back, sometimes animation doesn't look perfect, just because some of the bone is not perfectly mapped. And also, I want to show you another rig. This is the default Mannequin from the Unreal. So here in the capture, I believe it's in the Mannequin. Yeah. So in the Mannequin, where are they? In the blueprint, captures, mesh. Okay. So this is the default Mannequin character, which you can see here, the robot. And the structure is very similar, like city, the root, pelvis, span 0, 2, 3, right? And but there is a little bit different from other bones. For example, the head and eyes might have a different naming convention. So keep in mind, all the rigs, when they come in, they might be slightly different. Okay, so this is one thing. Another thing I'd like to point out is this city rig is a T-pose. T-pose is a way you can bind the bone to the geometric mesh. So you can see this guy is a T-pose, but the Mannequin is an A-pose. Okay, so that means in the future when you rig do the mapping, you have to change either this one to the A-pose or you change the Mannequin to the T-pose, so they can translate the animations across each other. So this is a little bit complicated things you need to just keep in mind. There are several things will impact the animation translation. One is the rig, right? The naming convention, the number of bones. Second is the pose, right? So this is important. And another thing I like to highlight is animation is always associated with the rig. So you can't really apply animation of a rig into a different rig just because the keyframed bones doesn't really match with another rig. So animation is always associated with rig. So keeping that in mind. So what we want to do now is using the plugin. This is the plugin name to convert the animation transferred from Mixamo and apply that, what we call the retarget that animation to a city character, a city rig. Okay. So the first thing is you might notice they both using the T pose, so that is good. You don't have to do any change for the pose, but they do have a different skeleton mesh. So for the Mixamo, there's no root joint, right? Things start with hip. So here you can see for the Mixamo character, these start with hips. There's no root. And for the city character, there is a root and a pelvis, right? So that's quite different. We need to change that. Okay, so the process is using this plugin. And I will demonstrate step by step how to do this. And I will first close some of the windows, not clustered. And I want to just make sure we use this new Mixamo folder. I'm just adding a cover. So everything I'm going to transfer in will be here first, right? As you can see, I already transferred the rig into Unreal with the T-pose. This one is already done, but there's no animation associated with it yet. It has a mesh, it has a physics, it has a skeleton, right? So next thing is I'm going to transfer some animation. Back to my download folder, and I will go to other files I just downloaded. So the first thing I want to transfer is a breathing idol. This is the animation with the skin. So I transfer this in. Okay. Since I already have this skin here already, or we call the mesh already, you don't really have to redo this. So you have to uncheck this, right? I just need animation. But you will see if you uncheck this guy, you won't really be able to import. So you have to make sure you attach the rig. So this is called Mixamo rig, right, as your default rig. Then you can uncheck this mesh, you can import. So what happened is Unreal will only read all the keyframes, all the animation data, and apply to this existing skeleton in the project. Okay. If, just show you, if you clear this rig, you see this import option is gone. You can't do this because at least, right, you need a rig to bound the animation to it. You can't really do this in a vacuum. So that's something you have to keep in mind. I'm gonna use the Mixamo rig. So this is the Mixamo rig. Okay, so that's it. And the animation, I want to just check, make sure the animation is there. I export it time, and I will import all. Right. So the only file showed up is this guy. This is called breathingidolmixamo.com. Okay, cool. You're done. It has a tag. This is actually doesn't matter. This is just an initial bound. You can actually, I think I can delete this guy just to keep everything clean. I don't take. Let me see if I got an impact. Okay, no problem. Animation is still there, right? So that's pretty good. Then I could do another animation. So this is what you need to do is if you download a bird of animations, do that all together. So I have this talking, I have this sitting and talking. You see the sitting and talking is larger because it's a long timeline. So I will drag, drop. And I'm using the same strategy, right? I don't really need a new mesh, but I want to attach to existing Mixamo rig skeleton. Make sure animation is checked. Import all. Okay, so this is pretty long, but you got this sitting and talking too. All right, so here the sitting and talking, it looks all good. And I look at the talking too, looks good, right? Because this is all default Mixamo animation plus its own rig. I would expecting any arrows, right? This is all natural. Native animation, so I will save everything. All right, so I'm done with the Mixamo animation now. Then the next thing is I would like to transfer this, or we call it retarget this, into a city character, right? So just letting you know, the city character right now is located in character asset low poly. This is the one. No, this is the earlier version. I think we download a new version called poly city characters right here, right? So this is the one, and then I'm going to set the retarget manager of this guy. Okay, so once you set up this as a humanoid, then you need to go back to the Mixamo and set up this as a humanoid as well. But I want to show you first, this is not going to work just because the bone structure is different. So if I just simply do, the default set humanoid, and I do the auto mapping, you see this is actually not accurate. The root is still not there, it's just matching the hips. So if you're just doing this default, let me save everything. And then if you go to the Mixamo folder and then try to do the retarget, right? So here, for example, I want to retarget the seating animation to the city rig. So here, if I choose retarget animation, duplicate, you really see there's nothing showed up here. It's just because these two rig does not really match each other, even you identify them as humanoid. Okay, so it's not going to work. So what I will do now is, number one, make sure you have this plugin activated. So here I want to just double check. This is not really a promotion for this plugin, but just show you the idea. Once you check this plugin, then I can go to the Mixamo capture. Then I can right click. I can retarget this right into Mixamo skeleton asset. So what happened is, if you pay attention to the rig, so here if I show you, this is the current rig, right? The hips span 1, 2, right? So pay attention. If let's make this one floating so you can see why. Just one button click, let's see what happened. Okay, so this is the rig. Right click, I will choose retarget into Mixamo skeleton, and here it asks you which rig you want to match this to, right? So here you can definitely match with, this is the city character rig, which I set up earlier as humanoid. So here, click select. I want you to pay attention to this rig. Right now, the hips and the span. Right? So automatically, it's gonna rename everything. So here, the start is the root. The second is the hips. Right? You also notice everything has been refreshed. Right? So here you have the skeleton. Also, you have the mesh. You have the animation. They all have a tiny star button showed up. So this means this file has been changed. Because when you change the rig, you also change the animation associated with it. Okay, so let me save everything. All right, I'm done with the mapping. Then I'm going to do this is to regenerate the animation for the city character. But before that, this is just my way. I always want to rename this. I don't like this long name. Ideally, you want to keep it short. So just keep in mind, the shorter name is always better. Oh, why is changed the? That's strange. I changed the thumbnail of this. That's strange. But anyway, it might be because I have some temporary files using this name already. So usually I like short names. I don't like long name. So sitting talking is fine. Talking to is fine. Breathing idle is fine. Just don't make a very long name. Okay. Then I will select all three animations holding Control. So I select all three, and then I will right click. I'm ready to generate a retarget animation asset. Right. So here, duplicate animation asset, and you can see, hey, after this renaming for the bone, you'll see this character showed up. Right. This is the Mixamo rigged character has been updated with a new root. And then I can target this into the characters of my city rig. And then I will give a prefix. This is something I like to do always, so it give you a little bit clue. These animations come from the original Mixamo animation. And then you can click retarget, right? It's done. By default, this new animation will show up directly here under your root, under the content. So you can see here the breathing idle, sitting talking, right? There is a couple of new ones. Probably this is the earlier thing I did. Yeah, this is probably the earlier version. I forgot to delete. Maybe let's just delete and redo it because I want to have a clean name. I don't like the duplicated names. So get rid of them. Then let's do this one more time, right? So back to Mixamo, select. Let me save all first. Select this 1, 2, 3. Right click, retarget, and here map into the city. Give a prefix, and then click retarget. So now if I go here, I see these 3 new animations showed up. Right, so this is a new animation. It's always a good idea you keep them into a good location. Since this is come from the poly character, right? Poly city. I create a new folder here called animation. Let me just set this as a red color. And this place, I'm gonna simply move this into that animation folder. I will choose move here. So later I will synchronize this to the GitHub. You can see these 3 animation is retargeted, come from the Mixamo into city. And here, if I take a look, the foot looks perfect. There's no any issues there. Right? If I look at the other one, sitting looks great, no problem. And look at the talking, pretty consistent, no problem. Okay. So that's really nice. And since these 3 animation is associated with the city rig, I just want to show you really quick. In the future, if you have characters, from the city, for example, all of these characters shared the same bone as this fast food person. So if I have these 3 out there, right, and if you check the animation, right? So here, I think I'm using the talking. That's the talking to, right? So it's I'm talking to, right? And here you can see they all available using that animation, right? And I want to maybe do this as a sitting and talking. That's another one we did. Sitting and talking, right? Right. So now if I see their animation, let's see if I can play with the view more. Maybe switch to none. Let's do the game. Oh, it's logged into this widget because the camera is possessed. Now let me just temporarily disable this as player 1. Let's disable that just for now, so I can show you. Right, you see this 3 character has perfect animation. There's no weird movement on the foot. Right. Pretty nice, right? And here, I think we did all 3 animations. What's the 3rd one? So close that. Talking. I think we have another one. Is a breathing idle. So let me just drag and drop. Right, so this one has the idle animation. Here we go. Right. See the idle animation. The foot is perfect. No issues at all. All right. I think that's pretty much about the whole process, how you can bring the animation with a rig from Mixamo into Unreal. Then you can using that plugin, right, to rename the bone, add a root bone. Then you can retarget this into the city. So basically, you made this transition between the city character and the Mixamo character. All right, since they all share the T-pose, there's no actual action needed. It's just automatically done. All right. The last step I do want to show you is after you finish this animation, I think this animation now it became I would say not useful anymore. So you could simply delete from the project if you don't want to causing any confusing. Because this bone is not really useful anymore, right? We are not really using these characters. So I would recommend once you have a bird of animation in, you finished the retargeting. After that, you can simply get rid of these files. I'm not going to do this now. Well, let me just delete them. I think I want to synchronize to GitHub with minimum of files needed. So once you delete, it should have a super clean folder, right? So the only thing you will see in the GitHub now is these 3 new animations come from the retarget mapping. All right. Okay, I think that's it about the whole tutorial.